Interest rates are going to start falling, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that means for you as an investor. Let's waste no time. Let's dive right in. So we all understand that interest rates are primarily controlled by the US Federal Reserve, and right now, Jay Powell is the Federal Reserve Chairman. And we also understand that the inflation rate matters a whole lot when it comes to interest rates because the Federal Reserve has that dual mandate of keeping the labor market strong and inflation low. And what we saw with inflation in the month of February, guys, we saw 2.4% inflation year over year, and that's actually pretty low. It's moving in the right direction. That was helped a lot by the price of gasoline, because we all know that when gasoline prices start to drop, it doesn't just affect people, the consumers in their vehicles. It affects logistics, transports, factories. There's so many industries across the US that use gasoline, and when gasoline prices drop, it makes everything cheaper across the board. And while inflation and gasoline prices are moving in the right direction, both downwards, beef and healthcare costs and some others are still way too high, guys. So the government is still working on that front. But overall, we are moving in the right direction. And that's why I believe that we're gonna see rate cuts, especially in May. Let me explain. And just check this out. There's the Mini Coupe. It's a beautiful night. The sun's just starting to set. Now, when President Trump gets his new nominee in May, it's widely expected and believed that he's going to start to begin lowering interest rates. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out because, as I said, the Fed has that dual mandate, and their target inflation rate, at least with the current chairman, Jay Powell, it's about 2% inflation. So we're at about 2.4, a little bit higher than that. Still overall good, but it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out and what political pressure the president is going to put on the new Federal Reserve Chairman to start lowering interest rates. But I do, if you want my opinion, I do believe that we're going to see rates starting to get lowered in May. And we have to also talk about what's going on in the labor market right now. It's so crucial when you start talking about interest rates, the Federal Reserve. What we're seeing in the labor market, guys, is that people who already have jobs, for the most part, they're keeping them. But if you're in the market for a white collar job, right now has been one of the toughest times in recent history to find a white collar job. In fact, I made a video recently about the white collar job collapse. So watch that video after this one. But it truly is really tough out there for people right now who are in the market for a white collar position. And there's not a lot of entry level roles either. And there's actually been a lot of reporting recently about college graduates and people graduating from these top MBA programs across the country like Harvard, and they're struggling to find white collar jobs. The last class that graduated back in 2025, a lot of them are still unemployed. And while the Bureau of Labor and Statistics did say in January that the US gained all these jobs, you've probably seen the headlines recently, I don't buy it, because what we saw last year was the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they went back and revised. They actually ended up slashing so many jobs. I'll put some of the headlines up, and it makes you question the legitimacy of these statistics about the job market. You saw a lot of people were not happy with that, but I think there's a lot more happening under the hood than the job numbers are showing. But if there is truly a strong labor market and the Fed believes that the labor market's strong, they're not going to be inclined to cut rates unless inflation stays super low. And guys, what we're seeing from these prediction markets, they couldn't be clearer in their forecast, guys. They don't see Jerome Powell cutting interest rates while he's in office. So what that means is until May, the odds of an interest rate cut are low. But if you want my 2 cents, I think that May hits, President Trump gets his new pick in, and we start to see interest rates dropping, and even dropping leading up to that point. And guys, there's no doubt that interest rates affect a whole lot in our economy, but also as investors in real estate, stocks, gold, interest rates absolutely affect all assets. And with real estate, it's gonna be very interesting to see if rates start to drop, will we start to see a ton of demand come back? And will that drive real estate prices that are already elevated even higher? And over the summer, we saw the median price of a home hit all-time record highs. And even in this interest rate environment, that was very interesting to see. So what's gonna happen when rates start to fall into the 5s, into the 4s? We're at about 6% right now, But imagine we hit 4.5%, what that would do to home prices, guys. I don't know if it's gonna make it more affordable or less when those interest rates get lowered, but only time will tell. And the sun has officially set here, but we're gonna continue this walk. It's a little muddy, but you know. And what we've seen recently with the stock market, guys, is that the stock market, the S&P 500, the Dow, they're basically still at all-time highs. However, there's a lot of things under the hood, the tech heavy, the NASDAQ stocks. Those stocks are really struggling, especially in the AI world, because there's a lot of fear going on right now. But lower interest rates will actually help these stocks, and here's why. It makes their financial statements look better, because when they go to borrow money so they can scale and grow, they're actually paying less interest. It makes total sense. Think about if you had a car loan, right? If the interest rate was lower, your monthly payments would be less. It's as simple as that, guys. It improves the financial statements of these companies. So when interest rates start to drop, I project that we will see some of these high flyer AI stocks and growth stocks, cloud computing, start to fly again. But you do have to be careful, guys, because these stocks will rise like an escalator, but drop like an elevator. So just be careful out there. You saw that happen in 2022. And then when they started to increase interest rates, then a lot of those companies started to drop aggressively. So just be careful out there. So let me know your thoughts below. Do you think interest rates will help this economy? What about the housing market, the stock market? I want to hear from you guys. Thank you all so much. If you found value in this, please throw me a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thank you all so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm out.